सब्सक्राइब कीजिए ये ट्यूटोरियल चैनल को और बेल आइकन को दबाइए सबसे पहले एजुकेशनल वीडियोस देखने के लिए। Hi everybody, this is Sanjay. Today I'm going to teach you the first chapter from science book from standard 10. So our first chapter is chemical reaction and equations. So let's start. Consider following situation of daily life and think what happens when milk is left at room temperature during summers. An iron tawa pan nail is left exposed to human atmosphere. Grapes get fermented. Food is cooked. Food gets digested in our body. We respire. In all the above situations, the nature and the identity of initial substance have somewhat changed. We have already learned that about physical and chemical changes of matter in our previous classes. Whenever chemical or changes occurs, we can say that a chemical reaction has taken place. अगर chemical change होता है तो हम उसको बोलते हैं chemical reaction हुआ है. You may perhaps be wondering as to what is actually meant by a chemical reaction. तो आपको बहुत परेशानी हुआ होगा या अपनी कुछ सोच रहे होंगे कि एक chemical reaction होता क्या है, उसका मीनिंग क्या है. What do we come to know that a chemical reaction has taken place? Let us perform some activities to find out the answer to these questions. You must have observed the magnesium ribbon bonds with a dazzling white flame and changes into a white powder. This powder is magnesium oxide. It is formed due to the reaction between the magnesium and oxygen present in the air. From the above three activities, we can say that any of the following observations help us to determine whether a chemical reaction has taken place or not. Change in state, change in color, evolution of a gas, change in temperature. अगर उसका स्टेट चेंज होता है, स्टेट मतलब अवस्था, मतलब उसका जो स्थिति, कलर चेंज होता है या गैस उसका एवोल्यूट होता है या टेम्परेचर चेंज होता है, एज वी ऑब्जर्व द चेंजेस अराउंड अस वी कैन सी दैट देयर इज अ लार्ज वैरायटी ऑफ केमिकल रिएक्शंस टेकिंग प्लेस अराउंड अस. We will study about the various types of chemical reactions and their symbolic representation in this chapter. Now let's see what is chemical reaction. As activity 1.1 can be described as the when a magnesium ribbon is burnt into oxygen, it gets converted into magnesium oxide. जब हम मैग्नीशियम रिबन को बर्न करेंगे ऑक्सीजन में तो वो क्या होगा, मैग्नीशियम ऑक्साइड में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा. दिस डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ अ केमिकल रिएक्शन इन अ सेंटेंस फॉर्म इज क्वाइट लॉन्ग. ये जो डिस्क्रिप्शन है केमिकल रिएक्शन में तो ये क्वाइट लॉन्ग होता है. इट कैन बी रिटन इन ए शॉर्टर फॉर्म, उसको हम शॉर्टर फॉर्म में लिख सकते हैं. सिंपल वे टू डू दिस इज टू राइट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वर्ड इक्वेशन. द टू वर्ड equation for the above reaction would be magnesium plus oxygen, which is called reactant. Magnesium oxide, it converts to magnesium oxide, it is product. The substances that undergo chemical change in reaction 1.1, magnesium and oxygen, are reactants. The new substance magnesium oxide formed during the reaction is the product. A word equation shows the change of reactants to the products through an arrow placed between them. The reactants are written on left side, means LHS, with a plus sign between them. Similarly, products are written on the right hand side or RHS with a plus sign between them. The arrowhead points towards the product, shows the direction of the reaction. जो arrowhead है यहाँ पे तो वो direction देता है कि किस तरफ reaction हुआ है. Writing a chemical reaction, writing a chemical equation. Is there any other shorter way of representing chemical reaction? Chemical reaction can be made more concise and useful if we use chemical formula instead of words. A chemical equation represents a chemical reaction. Equation represents a chemical reaction. If we recall formula of magnesium, oxygen and magnesium oxide, the above word expression can be written as Mg plus O2 arrow mark MgO, magnesium oxide. Count and compare the number of atoms of each element on the left hand side and right hand side of the arrow. This is the number of atoms of each element the same of the both sides. If not, then the equation is unbalanced because the mass is not the same on the both sides of the equation. Such a chemical equation is skeletal chemical equation for a reaction. Equation 1.2 is the skeletal reaction for the burning of magnesium in air. तो यहाँ पे बताया गया है कि हमको क्या करना पड़ेगा, कंपेयर करना पड़ेगा कि जो Mg और O2 में कितना है, एटॉमिक एटम नंबर कितना है, और जो मैग्नीशियम ऑक्साइड निकला है उसमें कितना है। अगर वो सेम नहीं होता है तो अनबैलेंस्ड है वो, तो उसको हम बोलेंगे स्केलेटल केमिकल इक्वेशन। तो उसको सही करना है, उसको बैलेंस करना है। तो कैसे करेंगे, लेट्स सी द बैलेंस केमिकल equations. Recall the law of conservation of mass that you studied in class 9. Mass can neither be created nor be destroyed in a chemical reaction. जो mass होता है उसको हम create नहीं कर सकते या destroy नहीं कर सकते chemical reaction में. That is the total mass of elements present in the product of a chemical reaction has to be equal to the total mass of the elements present in the reactants. In other words, the number of atoms of each element remains the same before and after a chemical reaction. Hence, we need to balance the skeletal chemical equation. Is the chemical equation 1.2 balanced? Let us learn about the balancing a chemical equation by step by step. The word equation for activity 1.3 may be represented as zinc plus sulfuric acid. जो zinc है plus sulfuric acid है, arrow mark zinc sulfate plus hydrogen. The above word equation may be represented by the following chemical equation. Zn मतलब zinc, H2SO4 means sulfuric acid, aromer ZnSO4 means zinc sulfate plus H2 मतलब hydrogen. Let us examine the number of atoms, different elements on the both sides of the arrow. Zinc, left hand side 1, right hand side 1. Hydrogen 2, right hand side 2. Sulfate or sulfur A1 1. Oxygen 4 4. As the number of atoms for each element is the same of the both side equation is balanced chemical equation. So let us try balance the following equation. Fe plus H2O, arrow mark Fe3O4 plus H2. Step 1. What to do? To balance a chemical equation, first draw boxes around each formula. आप एक ड्रॉ कीजिए, एक जैसे बॉक्स बनाइए, उसमें सबके जो each formula में don't change anything inside the boxes while balancing equation. Step 2. The list the number of atoms of different elements present in the unbalanced equation. You can write in this style. Okay, left hand side Fe1, right hand side 3, hydrogen 2 and 2, and oxygen left hand side 1 and right hand side 4. Step 3. It is often convenient to start balancing with the compound that contains the maximum number of atoms. It may be a reactant or a product. In that compound, we select the element which has the maximum number of atoms. Using this criteria, we select Fe3O4 and the element oxygen in it. There are 4 oxygen atom on the RHS right hand side and only 1 on the left hand side to balance oxygen atoms initial in 1 in H2O, 4 in Fe3O4 to balance 1 into 4 and 4. To equalize the number of atoms, it must be remembered that we cannot alter the formula of compounds or elements involved in the reaction. तो रिएक्शन में जो फॉर्मूला है हम उसको अल्टर नहीं कर सकते हैं, लेकिन हम उस नंबर को अल्टर करेंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, टू बैलेंस ऑक्सीजन एटम्स वी कैन पुट द कोएफिशिएंट 4 H2O or not H2O4 or H2O whole 4. Now partly balance the equation becomes Fe plus 4H2O, arrow mark Fe3O4 plus H2. Now step 4. Fe and H atoms are still not balanced. Pick any of these elements to proceed further. Let us balance hydrogen atoms in partly balanced equation. To equalize the number of H atoms, make the number of molecules of hydrogen as a 4 on the RHS. Now equation will be Fe plus 4H2O, arrow mark Fe3O4 plus 4H2. Examine the above equation and pick up the third element which is not balanced. You find that only one element is left to be balanced, that is iron. Equalize Fe, we take the 3 atoms of Fe on the left hand side. 3Fe plus 4H2O, Fe3O4 plus 4H2. Finally, to check the correctness of balance equation, we count the atoms of each element on the both side of equation. हम क्या करेंगे, वो सही है कि नहीं, हम both side में उसको क्या करेंगे, जो elements होता है उसका एटम हम काउंट कर लेंगे. अगर समान रहा तो वो हो गया balanced. The number of atoms of element on the both side are equal. This equation is now balanced. This method of balancing chemical equation is called heat and trial method, as we make trials to balance the equation by using the smallest whole number coefficient. Writing symbols of physical states. carefully examine the above balanced equation. Does this equation tell us anything about the physical state of each reactant and product? No information has been given in this equation about the physical state. To make a chemical equation form informative, the physical states of reactants and products are mentioned along with their chemical formula. The gaseous, liquid, aqueous, and solid states of reactants or product are represented by the notations. Respectively, the word aqueous, aqueous is written if the reactant or product is represented as a solution in water. The balance 1.1 becomes 3Fe bracket में S plus S मतलब what? Solid. 4H2O. G means gas. Fe3O4 S plus 4H2 gas. Now that the symbol G is used with the H2O to indicate that is in the reaction what is used of form of stem. Usually physical states are not included in a chemical equation unless it is necessary to specify them. Sometimes the reaction conditions such as temperature, pressure, catalyst for the reaction are indicated above and or below the arrow in the equation. For example, you can see in this example, using these steps, can you balance? Just try to write in the copy. Now types of chemical reaction. But we have learned the class 9 that during a chemical reaction, atom of one element don't change into those of another element, nor do atoms disappear from the mixture or appear from elsewhere. Actually, chemical reactions involve the breaking and making of bonds between atoms to produce new substances. You will study about the types of bonds formed between atoms in chapter 3 and 4. Calcium oxide reacts vigorously with water to produce slacked lime calcium hydroxide, releasing a large amount of heat. In this reaction, calcium oxide and water combine to form a single product, calcium hydroxide. Such a reaction in which a single product is formed from two or more reactants is also known as combination of reaction. I'm just telling you what is the important. Okay, I'm just keeping this. Now let's see decomposition of reaction. Have you ever noticed that the green color of ferrous sulfate crystals has changed? You can also smell the characteristics order of bonding sulfur. In this reaction, you can observe that the single reactant breaks down to give simpler products. This is the decomposition reaction. Ferrous sulfate crystals lose water when heated and the color of crystals changes. It then decomposes to ferric oxide, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. Ferric oxide is a solid while SO2 and SO3 are gases. Decomposition of calcium carbonate to calcium oxide, carbon dioxide on heating is an important decomposition reaction used in various industries. Calcium oxide is called lime or quicklime. It has many uses. One is in the manufacture of cement. एक manufacture of cement होता है. When decomposition reaction is carried out by heating, it is called thermal decomposition. हम उसको thermal decomposition बोलते हैं. You will observe the emission of brown fumes. These fumes are nitrogen oxide, nitrogen dioxide, NO2. The reaction takes place is like this equation. Now carry the following activity. Displacement equation. Displacement reaction. Okay. Why does the iron nail become brownish in color and blue color of copper sulfide solution fade? The following chemical reaction takes place in activity. In this reaction, iron is displaced or removed another element copper from copper sulfate solution. This reaction is known as displacement reaction. Zinc and lead are more reactive elements than copper. This they displace copper from its compounds. Double displacement reaction. You will observe that a white substance which is insoluble in water is formed. This insoluble substance formed is a precipitate. Any reaction that produces a precipitate can be called a precipitation reaction. What caused this? The white precipitate of BaSO4 is formed by the reaction of SO4 and Ba2 plus. This is 2 minus, this is 2 plus. The other product formed in sodium chloride which remains in the solution. Such reactions in which there is an exchange of ions between the reactants are called double displacement reactions. Then comes oxidation and reduction. The surface of copper powder becomes coated with black copper oxide. Why does thick black substance form? This is because oxygen is added to copper and copper oxide is formed. If hydrogen gas is passed over this heated material, the black coating on the surface turns brown as the reverse reaction takes place as copper is obtained. If the substance gains oxygen during the reaction, it is said to be oxidized. If a substance loses oxygen during a reaction, it is said to be reduced. During this reaction, the copper oxide is losing oxygen and is being reduced. The hydrogen is gaining oxygen and is being oxidized. In other words, one reactant gets oxidized while other gets reduced during the reaction. Such reaction are called oxidation reduction reaction or redox reaction. मतलब यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि एक ऑक्सीडाइज होता है और एक रिड्यूस होता है, तो इस प्रोसेस को, इस रिएक्शन को हम बोलते हैं ऑक्सीडेशन रिडक्शन रिएक्शंस और रिडक्स रिएक्शन. In the reaction, carbon is oxidized to CO and Zn, zinc oxide is reduced to Zn. In reaction, HCl is oxidized to Cl2, whereas MnO2 is reduced to MnCl2. From the above examples, we can say that if a substance gains oxygen or loses hydrogen during the reaction, it is oxidized. If a substance loses oxygen and gains hydrogen during a reaction, it is reduced. Corrosion. You must have observed that iron particles are shiny when new but get coated with a reddish brown powder when left for some time. तो आपने देखे होंगे कि जो आयरन पार्टिकल्स होते हैं वो शाइन करता है कुछ नए जब लाते हैं और कुछ दिन जब रहता है वो रेडिश हो जाता है. This process is commonly known as roasting of iron. इस process को हम roasting of iron बोलते हैं. Some other metals also get tarnished in this manner. Have you noticed the color of coating formed on copper and silver when metal is attacked by the substance around it, such as moisture, acids, etc.? It is said to corrode, and this process is called corrosion. The black coating on silver and green coating on copper are other examples of corrosion. Corrosion causes damage to car bodies, bridges, iron railings, ships, to all the objects made of metals, especially those of iron. Corrosion of iron is a serious problem. Every year, an enormous amount of money is spent to replace damaged iron. You will learn more about corrosion in chapter 3. Then comes Rain acidity. Rain acidity. Have you ever tested or smelled the fat or oil containing food materials left for a long time? When fats and oils are oxidized, जब fat and oil oxidized होता है तो they become rancid, तो rancid हो जाते हैं और their smell and taste change. Usually substances which prevent oxidation or antioxidants are added to foods containing fats and oil. Keeping food in air-tight container helps to slow down oxidation. Do you know that the chips manufacturers usually flush bags of chips with gas such as nitrogen to prevent chips from getting oxidized? ऑक्सीडाइजिंग होने के लिए वो कुछ गैस डालते हैं, वो वहां पे रहता है. So this is all about your chapter, and if you have any doubts you can write in the comment section. I will talk to you, and please subscribe my channel and share among your friends. Thank you very much.